Those simmering tensions between Britain and Russia that were sitting just below the surface have now blown up abruptly. The FSB, which is successor to the KGB, has revoked the accreditation of 6 British diplomats it accuses of spying. The Foreign Office in Britain says the accusations are completely baseless. These expulsions from Russia now come bang in the midst of a new British willingness, or at least signs of willingness, to let Ukraine fire the Storm Shadow missiles that it has supplied to Ukraine deep into Russia. Ukraine has been supplied a number of these missiles, but their use has been politically restricted amidst fears of escalation of the conflict. Ukraine has been pressing hard for lifting of these restrictions. It argues that Russia has no such restrictions, that it fires into Ukraine when it chooses, where it chooses, and that Ukraine has to fight back with one hand tied behind its back. Over recent days, British Foreign Secretary David Lammy has signalled a British readiness to give the green light to these weapons even ahead of any similar decision from the US over its ATACMS missiles. Lammy and US Secretary of State Antony Blinken were in Kiev a day back amidst a series of air raid warnings, as it turns out, to discuss this issue with President Zelensky, and a decision is expected sometime following a meeting between British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Biden in Washington on Friday. Ukraine wants a quick decision. Lammy has said it may take weeks yet. And in the midst of these negotiations now, Russia has fired this diplomatic barrage at Britain. Putin warns that NATO itself risks a war with Russia if it goes ahead. Thus far, NATO has been equipping Ukraine in a sort of proxy war, but has kept back from direct intervention. Putin says that approval of these long-range weapons against Russia would bring direct participation of NATO countries. He has said that Moscow would take appropriate decisions in such an eventuality, and those appropriate decisions he speaks of sound very much like a nuclear threat, which he has made several times before. Such a level of attack would, of course, cross Russia's declared red lines. Ukraine already has breached one of those by its invasion of Kursk. The critical decisions in Washington will depend on a reading of Putin now, whether these are threats or threats that he may act upon. A spokesperson in Moscow says the warning is extremely clear. One immediate likely consequence of the expulsion from Russia is an expulsion of some Russian diplomats from London. That is just standard diplomatic procedure. The best possible outcome under the circumstances would be for this spat to stop there diplomatically. If not, this could lead to developments in the Ukraine war not yet seen or even foreseen.